Good morning and welcome to the Tuesday 9th County Commission meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just a reminder to silence your cell phones. The meeting documents for today are available for review next to Commissioner Bender. If you need a listening device, Robert would be able to help you with that. With that, we'll start with routine business. That first item is to consider a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion unanimously passes. Item 2 is to approve the county commission minutes from September 2nd.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion unanimously passes. Item 3 is bills to be paid of $1,085,681.70.
Pay the bills.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the bills. Any questions or comments? Commissioner Barth?
Chair, I didn't break it down, all the items, but there's a large number of bills for the highway department, which put that up quite a bit.
Thank you. Any other comments? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion unanimously passes. Reports, we have the Minnehaha County Sheriff's Report for July. Personnel actions, consider a motion to approve the routine personnel actions. Carrie Deaver, or is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments, questions? If not, we would, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion unanimously passes. There's no applications for abatement, no notices or requests, no planning and zoning notices, no petition for compromise. So we're to the opportunity for public comment, if I can get my paper to quit sticking. If anybody has any comments on a subject not related to the agenda, and no one's moving, we'll go right to regular business. At 9 a.m., we have a public hearing to consider the application for special event on-sale liquor license for all occasions by Hy-Vee on September 24th and October 25th. First, have any comments, Olivia?
We haven't had any objections for them, so I'd suggest approving it.
Okay.
Motion
Any-
to approve.
Second.
I should have asked the audience if there's any input, because it's a public hearing, and there obviously is not. So we have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion unanimously passes. Item 11 is to consider a motion to appoint 4 candidates to the Minnehaha County Surplus Property Appraisal Board. Mr. Litz.
Bob Litz from the Auditor's Office, and I'd like you to approve the following members of the Appraisal Board: Ken McFarland, Richard Calamine, Connie Malone, and Kyle Helseth, in the event that we need them for an upcoming tax deed sale. There's 4 people listed there, probably only going to need 3. They might want to all go out, we don't know. It looks like an interesting tax deed sale if everything comes to fruition. There's a strong possibility of having one house, full-on house, and then there's 3 more that are wending their way through the process right now. So we could have a big sale, or we could have a one house on there. We don't know, but in anticipation of that coming up, I just wanted to get the board appointed in advance.
Thank you, Bob. Any comments for Mr. Litz?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
it's an illustrious list, but I'll make a motion to approve the names that our auditor has suggested.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve the 4 candidates. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion unanimously passes. Item 12 is to consider a motion to approve the proposed DRC budget and authorize the chair to sign an agreement between Minnehaha County and LSS to provide evening report center program services.
Good morning,
Erin.
Commission. You have in front of you a contract to begin services in September for the Evening Report Center. This is a program we've been having in place for about the last 4 years, and it's just been on a little hiatus with the transition to the new service provider. So we're looking at getting this back up and going. It's already in the budget. They gave us a really good program proposal, and we're really looking forward to getting it started. It's a program that picks up kids after school, has programming for them, feeds them, they do activities, they help get them jobs, and then they drop them back off at home. So it takes kids and puts them in some positive activities and usually has pretty good outcomes. I know our juvenile judge and other juvenile justice professionals are excited to have this available again.
Thank you, Aaron. Does anyone have any questions? Commissioner Bender, I believe, first.
Aaron, I'm just curious, when will this be up and running if this gets
Our-
approved?
We're shooting for the first day of school. That's so like September 6th or 7th. They wanted to wait for our contract to be signed before they began the hiring process. So as soon as it's signed, if we get it approved today, I can email Sheila and LSS and have them get started on the hiring process. But we're hopeful that we'll start that first week of September.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kelly?
How's this compare in cost to the previous contract?
It comes in right at the same cost.
Other questions? If not, is there a motion to approve the contract?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion unanimously passes. Thanks,
Thank you.
Aaron. Item 13 is to consider a motion to authorize the chairman and the director of emergency management to sign the state and local agreement between Minnehaha County and the state of South Dakota for county emergency management. Mr. DeYoung.
Good morning, Commissioners. Lynn DeYoung, Emergency Management. This is the annual state and local agreement grant that we have with the state of South Dakota. If you recall, the state sends us a work plan. We work on those items with the state of South Dakota. And then for that, services and the other emergency management services that we provide or work with within the county, they pay for 50% of salary and administrative expenses within the office for the 3 employees, and then other items that we have that are eligible as approved by the authorized equipment list. As you know, the state's been changing some of their financial practices. This year they created SDL, or South Dakota 156. It's a Board of Internal Control. And then they also created 12745. Both of those have to do with internal controls within the state of South Dakota. And as a result of us being a sub-grantee, we'll be managed somewhat by those, not a ton because it's more of on the state side. But we also have to complete what's called a risk analysis this year. That was attached in the documentation. So the other thing that I anticipate is, even though you see the items in front of you, is typically the state will add different financial controls probably through the year as they go through the learning process that's been created by the legislature. Both of those, or all of those things, I don't anticipate will have any difficulty doing. Auditor Litz and his staff and I have already talked about the additional financial controls and documents that are there, and we don't anticipate any problems. So I'd be happy to answer any questions, but I'd request the commission authorize the signatures for entering into this agreement.
Thank you, Lynn. Anyone have any questions for him?
I have a question. Lynn, are they increasing the amount of oversight and paperwork and regulation based on malfeasance and other operations around the state? Is this your perception of?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're seeing the controls that we're seeing, or the additional requirements for financial accountability, are as a direct result of other things going on in state government. We're seeing a trickle down in all sorts of grants. Here we've got a great staff to work with, both internal of my office and downstairs with the office and the auditors, downstairs in the auditor's office. So, we can do that work. The question or the concern that I always bring up to the state is other counties aren't as fortunate because of size of population. Some of the emergency managers out there are only 50% time. So by the state creating additional requirements, maybe those counties aren't eligible or aren't able to comply because of the amount of time that they have. So net effect is they'll have less of a program than what they should because of the controls that they're implementing instead of some of the other counties, and therefore they'll lose the dollars that could be used in their county, and those dollars are come to Minnehaha County or to Pennington County or Brown County. So I do see additional, like I said, controls coming out as a result of the things we've all been hearing in the legislative process and other state parts of government over the last couple of years. So,
Mr. Chairman, if I could just follow on with a comment. You know, I've seen this actually going on in other areas. You know, we all know about small banks having trouble keeping up with the federal regulations. I've seen it happen with labor unions, which, you know, if there's 8 members, they have to merge with somebody else because the paperwork is such that nobody there can do it. And I think when I was on the Homeless Advisory Board, there was a federal grant that they got which insisted that some survey be done which actually used the entire amount of the grant, and so no services actually could be provided to people. And so as you know, we all complained about regulation and stuff. Of course, we see what happens when there is no regulation. Things go horribly awry, but I think in emergency management we're seeing the penalties, I guess, for some of the other programs in the state that have gone badly. And with that comment, I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? If not, those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion unanimously passes. Item 14 is to consider a motion to authorize the emergency management director to sign a sub-recipient grant agreement between Minnehaha County and the South Dakota Department of Health to act as a fiduciary agent for management of Region 3 South Dakota Hospital Preparedness Program funds.
good morning, commissioners.
Wonderful acronym.
Yeah, there's a lot there. There's a mouthful, but this is the second year we've done this as a county, so it's still a little bit of a learning process. But the state of South Dakota Department of Health has regionalized their healthcare partners into different collections of counties and hospitals. The southeast area goes all the way from down to Vermilion up to up into the Castlewood area, so it's a pretty large geographic area on I-29. They need a fiduciary agent, and once again, the city of Sioux Falls used to perform this function, but their accounting process has changed, so the state and the region asked Minnehaha County to start performing this. So last year we did this, and obviously once again with the great staff at my office and down at the auditor's office, we've had no complaints from either the Hospital Coalition or the state of South Dakota or the legislative audit component at the end. So this year's grant amount is $75,125. There's a 10% administrative fee that Minnehaha County's used in the last that Minnehaha County captures in the last 2 years, and then the remaining dollars, part of it will go to excuse me, part of it will go to the coalition hires a contractor to work on different planning projects with them. So there'll be a contractor agreement that I'll sign pending the approval of this document, and then they also work on different projects for purchase of equipment for evacuation and other hospital emergency response needs, and then there'll be some training. That group puts this budget all together, and once again, like I said, once we get that budget, Minnehaha County just acts as a fiduciary agent, cutting the checks, making sure that they're done in accordance with standard financial procedures through the auditor's office and my office. So for the second year in a row, I'd request the commission to authorize the emergency management director to enter into both of those agreements. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Lynn? Commissioner Bender?
Lynn, I'm just curious if you have any feel for whether the amount that we receive to cover the overhead related to administering these adequately covers the services that we provide.
Yep, I'll tell you, we really have a great partnership with the folks that manage the Hospital Coalition. Sandy Friends from the City of Sioux Falls Health Department, does a ton of work on this. because once again, they had it, or she managed it the last couple of years. So for our part, we are being rewarded well for the amount of work that we do.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions?
Move to approve.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. I have just a quick question. Do the hospital associations or the hospitals themselves talk about any kind of duplication with their JACO requirements of, I mean, that is a huge project, extensive, and it tests every
Yep.
piece of the hospital operation.
Yep, so their joint accreditation, JACO, their accreditation service that comes in, and I think it's, I forget exactly what timeline they're on, but all the hospitals are accredited by JACO. What happens as new and emerging things are developing, whether it's Zika or smallpox or Ebola, a lot of this grant is used to purchase funds that they may not have in their budget, or purchase equipment that they may not have in their budgets, evacuation equipment and isolation equipment, PPE. Some of those things on, the last couple of years, maybe some security training with active shooters. So all of those things from this grant, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it enhances their local ability to respond to what JACO's seeing out there for additional requests and everything. So we talk extensively on some of our meetings about what JACO's asking them to do as an accreditation agency, the money and how these dollars can be transitioned into helping them get their policies, procedures, equipment, and training up so that they can continue to receive high marks from JACO. So it does go hand in hand with them out there. And like I said, it's not everything, but it does help with their JACO accreditation process. So did I answer your question?
Kind of. but
Okay.
That's okay.
Yep.
Uh,
And remember, I'm not an exact expert because
No,
we're just a fiduciary, but like I said, we do talk about it and everything, and there is some duplication, but it's good duplication at this point. So
Okay. Any other questions? We have a motion and a second to approve the grant. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion unanimously passes.
thank you.
Item B is to sign a consulting agreement with the city's consulting to provide partnership development and technical assistance to Region 3 South Dakota Hospital Preparedness Response Partners.
That one, there will be, commissioners, a subgrantee, or excuse me, a consultant agreement. It should be from Kleitz Consulting. Once again, she works with that group. She has for the last 3 years. They do all of the documentation, but because we're the fiduciary agent and we issue the checks, I'll need to be authorized to enter into that agreement with Kleitz Consulting.
Okay?
Make a motion to approve.
Second, with a comment.
Motion and a second. Mr. Barth?
Lynn here really is an asset to the whole region here, and has been for my whole time here as a county commissioner. The amount of grant applications and funding that he's able to find benefits everything in this multi-county area, and he's a great asset to our county.
Thank you. Thank you.
And like I said, it's a job that I couldn't do with the folks downstairs and across town. So thank you.
You're getting to spend most of your time as a grant writer rather than a EM.
A lot of the things go together, and it's a manager. We're working on a great project right now with our rural EMS folks that Jeff might discuss. I will discuss that at a future date, but sometimes it's just, knowing the right people as a result of tenure in the position and having a good argument for the items that we're seeking. So thank you.
Thank you. Item 15 is Minnehaha County Commission liaison
Did we vote on
assignment.
that? Didn't we? Okay.
Did we?
I don't think so.
If you didn't think so, I'm going too fast. We have a motion and a second to approve the contract. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion unanimously passes. Thank you for reminding me. Item 15 is Minnehaha County Commission liaison reports. Are there any reports? Commissioner Bender?
I just want to give an update on the focus group that we had formed for the jail project. We collected questions from all the participants. They were due last Friday. We got a pretty good list, and, we're looking for some more if people have, but people have been very thoughtful about the process. We'll be meeting later this week to try to put together staff answers to that, and then we have a follow-up meeting next Tuesday where we'll spend time kind of going over and vetting all the questions that the different community members bring forward. I think all of us have been getting updates on jail numbers and have seen that the trend line continues to go up, and that we clearly have numbers between the CCC and the jail on the weekends that are troubling, and so we're going to need to keep working on this problem and try to figure out a solution that makes sense for the county and the staff and the taxpayers. So,
Thank you. Any other liaison reports? If not, we'll go to item 16, new business. Commissioner,
Yeah, I'm sorry I'm preventing us from getting done in record time here. Two things. One is a fellow outside the building wanted me to comment that he's hearing from county employees that they're not allowed to sign petitions, and that's not the case. But in lieu of him coming up to speak, I told him I would mention it. And then I would say that I went to a briefing here, which is on the F-35, and that although the time isn't quite right for us to take action and write our legislators or new president, whoever, we should keep it in the back of our mind that we should be advocates one way or the other as we continue to study this issue.
I believe we all had chances to attend those meetings, so I think we're all up to speed on that. Mr. Litz, you have a comment?
Concerning the comments about county employees not signing petitions, it's true you don't have to, but in our office, we do advise everybody that's in the auditor's office not to sign a petition. If they go and do it, there's no consequences to that, but we just generally try to stay neutral down there on the topics.
Thank you. Any other new business items? If not, is there any old business?
I move we go into executive session for potential litigation, personnel, and contract negotiations.
second.
We have a motion and a second to go into exec session for the items listed. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion unanimously passes.
Is that